It's good to see you again. I'm just going through the list of the clubs that you've been involved with in the last 20 years. Chelsea, Liverpool, Sao Paulo, Rangers, Aston Villa, huge names, huge clubs, and you're at another one here, aren't you?
Oh yeah, look, what a fantastic opportunity for me to join this club at this moment as well, with this type of squad and the vision and the alignment within the club. It's hugely exciting. There's a lot of work to do for sure, but when we were going through the talks, I became more excited as we went on because there was a lot of common ground, and I'm delighted to be here. What I've seen from the first 2 days, and they've been a really busy 2 days, what I've seen already is enough for me to realise this is a fantastic opportunity for me for sure.
You can have a busy next 10 days, 4 games in the next 10 days starting on Saturday. It's going to be a hectic, festive schedule for you and the players, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and look, it's a great opportunity for the players to show me as a new head coach, I suppose, the level. The team's been in a good place. You know, I think Mike Dodds and Michael and Ali have done a really good job last week. It sort of showed us everything the Championship could be. We had 2 fantastic results at home and went away to Bristol City and had a disappointment, and it shows you what this league can do. It's the 2 teams we've got coming up now in terms of Coventry and Hull are teams that have got similar ambitions, and both managers do an excellent job. So that's the league. It's really competitive, and as you say, it's a hectic period, but we've got a young group that love playing, so I'm looking forward to the games immensely.
I think it's about 11-12 weeks since you left Rangers. I wonder if this is the first opportunity you've had since then, or were you waiting on an opportunity like this coming around?
Yeah, it's the first opportunity that really interested me, and it's the first one where when you sit in the room and speak, you hearing and understanding the way the club works, and it really excites you. So it's a fantastic opportunity, as I said, and it comes off the back of 2 periods I had at Rangers that were some of the best moments I've had in my football career to date, and it's a club that obviously is very close to my heart. It's been a little bit less than 12 weeks, to be honest. We obviously the start of October, but I'd just like to say congratulations to Philippe Clement as well and the Rangers team, because that was a real proud moment watching those guys, and I'm delighted for them winning the cup at the weekend.
Yeah, of course, so many players that you know very well. Some of them, of course, you brought to the club as well. I just wonder how that maybe affected you, the way it ended there, because it started so well, but then obviously the last few weeks, I guess, didn't go as you would have liked. How did you deal with that?
Oh, listen, I had a lot of people around me, you know, within the club that I knew very well, and when the team is maybe underperforming or has 1 or 2 difficult results, you know, the week before we'd got through to a semi-final and beat Real Betis, you know, our record was still good, but we had a difficult day, and then obviously I come out of the club. It's not nice. It was the first time in my career that I've been out of work, which hasn't been my choice, so that wasn't a nice feeling, but I've learned a lot from that. You know, the experience that I had there. I look back at that time as a club that I spent 4.5-5 years over 300 games, that I was part of a team that won the league, invincible, and that group of players, both the ones, existing ones and new ones, I was hugely happy for all of them, delighted for the whole football club, and I wish them well moving forward.
I think you suggested after you left that over the next couple of months you were planning to do a bit of travelling, go to Brazil, Japan, US. Have you managed to do that? Oh
yeah, I've done a lot. It's been a really good time for me, if I'm honest. Really a lot of time of reflection. Obviously, I went across to see some friends in Brazil, caught a couple of games in Portugal and France and Belgium as well. I took a time to go to Lapland with the children. So, but no, I'm ready. Like, what an opportunity! The last few days, so energised, coming into the building, learning even more about the club and the people here, and for me coming in as the head coach on my own as well. It's really, I've really been energised by the work that's already going on. So I want to praise also Tony before, because I think Tony did a good job, and for whatever reason I'm sat in this seat now, I want to take that forward. I'm excited by the group of players in front of me.
Kristjaan, he talks very well, Michael. What have you seen in him to give him this opportunity?
Well, I think you have a little bit of an understanding around the coaches that are on the circuit, if you like, in England, and mine and Michael's path have crossed it a few times, and we try to make sure we have a really good understanding around the coaches that are out there that are doing well, coaches that are doing different things, coaches that are outperforming. And everything we've seen in the last 2 days, everything that we thought we'd be getting from Michael in terms of an excellent on-the-field coach, his preparation, his thought processes behind the training and what the boys are doing, it's some of the best work I've seen, and we're really, really pleased to have him here.
Was there a lot of interest in the job? Anything you can give us an idea in terms of numbers and how much competition did he have to fight on?
Well, look, Sunderland Football Club is Sunderland Football Club. It's one of the biggest clubs in the country, and it'll attract worldwide attention, whether it's on field or off field. So from our perspective, we when we make that decision, it's a tough decision. We're going into that having a really clear understanding around what our list looks like, and naturally you're going to get bombarded from all different quarters around prospective candidates. What we have got is we've got a real clear criteria about what we're looking for, and we've got a clear process, and then we just try to apply that criteria in that process and try to work through what we think is a really tough interview process to try to ensure that at the end of it we get the right person. So from our perspective, look, the speculation and everything that goes on, you have to work through that noise, and you have to understand that it's such a big football club. But for us, we have to stay laser focused on making sure we get the right outcome, and we feel we've got the right outcome.
Michael has obviously lots of contacts worldwide. He's been over in Brazil coaching as well, brought players in at Rangers. How will it work, despite all those contacts and players? How will it work moving forward at the club in terms of recruitment?
Same as it's always worked. We've got really clear processes about how we work, and what we're always trying to do with those is they're not rigid and fixed. I think, in fairness, every coach that I've worked with at this football club so far has added a different layer or added a different dimension, and whilst that coach might not still be with us from 2 years ago, there'll still be some evidence of their work where they've tried to help us evolve, and I think that's what good organisations and good businesses do. I think there's obviously speculation sometimes, my understanding around the involvement of a coach and the coach's selection process and recruitment. Our coach is always fundamentally at the heart of all our decision making for players coming into the group, and that will continue to be the case. Naturally, Michael will look at it through a slightly different lens than Tony. Tony would look at it through a different lens than Alex. That's because they're all different people. But we feel when you can get really close alignment in what you're looking for and how you're going about the team structure and the team plan and the team identity, then you want to be really chewing the fat over some of the real detail that hopefully produces the right outcome in terms of the players you sign.
You mentioned Tony Mowbray there, Michael did as well. What do you say to the supporters who didn't want to see him go, and I suppose didn't really want to change? They were sad to see him go.
Yeah, look, Tony's such a top gentleman, and I've had a couple of conversations with him post, obviously having that difficult conversation with him, and he was really complimentary about lots of things that we're doing. Tony's like any top coach; they've got their views and they've got their perspective, if you like, and we're always open to having those discussions. And I think ultimately for supporters, I think they want to have a winning team, and I think the difficulty is change. It's difficult internally, it's difficult externally, because you get attached and you get a familiarisation and a comfort with this is the person that's doing this job and this is the direction of travel. So we understand how difficult those decisions are. But for us, they're always done around trying to stay aligned to what we're trying to do, what we're trying to achieve, and ultimately in the best interest of the football club.
So just finally from me, Michael, in terms of short-term aims, we talked about the festive fixture schedule. It's going to be very busy. What are your aims for this season? I mean, would you aim to try and get Sunderland promoted this year, or are you a little bit more relaxed about it as it sounds like the club are?
Well, the club's got a vision and the processes that I really believe in, and a way of working to get where we all want to go, which is back to the Premier League. That's what the fans want, and the fans drive the club in terms of expectations as well. That's really important. That's every single player in our dressing room. If they haven't played in the Premier League, that's where they want to go. It's a young dressing room. That's where we think the potential of some of our players is. Now, the front two have set a fast pace, haven't they, in terms of where they're going. And we're one of a group of teams, like the two that we're playing next in Coventry and Hull, who believe we can go and get in the playoffs. And where we've started the season, where we are now, as I say, we had a bump in the road at the weekend, but we should be optimistic. We should demand that. Our fans should demand that. We should demand that inside the standards, and we want to be setting ourselves up that after the March international break, we're in a position to push and go there. Last season, playing a slightly different style with a slightly different makeup of a group, maybe a slightly older group, we managed to get there, and why wouldn't we? Wouldn't we dream and push and go for that? But there's a lot of work to be done in between that. Obviously, a lot of games to play.
Thank you.
Hi Michael, Simon O'Rourke from ITV Timepiece. Hi. A lot of talk in the interview you did with the club as well has been about the fit within the model. So, how important was that to you when choosing the club you want to work for, and how comfortable are you with what you're walking into?
Well, you're right. It was this was a huge decision for me. So when in the last few weeks, I've had a lot of time to reflect with people around me and family of where I'm going with my career and what I need. And when the Sunderland job became available, it was a really good opportunity for me to sit down and understand more. I had my understanding of the model outside, and the model's about development and having an elite way of training and playing, and it's about recruiting players that are on the up rather than players that maybe are at their full potential, and the excitement of working with that and the potential to fulfill it. So it's a group of players that have got really high ambition, if you like, and have not fulfilled it yet. And I'm completely aligned with that. That's pretty much where I'm as a coach as well. I need to establish myself firmly as a coach. I've been obviously an assistant for a number of years and in youth development, but as a lead coach, it's time for me to fulfil my potential here at Sunderland, and that's how I see the squad as well. So that's where I see the alignment. All of the processes are nowhere near as complex as maybe people would assume. Everything that I've heard and listened to for me is what I believe in, and that's why I was so keen. The interview process was lengthy in terms of the amount of discussion we had and the areas that we delved in and went back over to make sure there was real clarity on all sides, and I'm delighted to be sat here.
Kristjaan, actually kind of your side of the same question. Clearly this is the guy who you felt was the best fit for what you want to do. Yeah,
naturally I think, look, when you're Sunderland Football Club, you have a range of options, whether that's the players market, whether that's the coaches market. And for us, we're trying to find the best fit. And like you said, it's not necessarily a case of whether people can do the job. There's people out there that can do the job. It's whether they can do the job as well and focus on the areas that we feel we need to focus on. And that's where we felt that Michael was the outstanding candidate. You just heard him articulate, with great depth and understanding around what we're trying to do. And I think, in all these types of scenarios, we're also looking to get the new lens of a new coach to help us move forward. Sometimes there's nothing better than a fresh set of eyes looking at the way that we do our work. And like I said to you, the reason we've got in the strong position we're in today is because we've had a growth mindset and we've been open-minded. And I think when you listen to Michael speak, he talks about learning, he talks about development, he talks about curiosity and looking at different sports and different countries, and that's what we're all about. And the more that we can do that, the faster we'll be able to move as well on our progress.
Michael, back to yourself. Obviously, every new manager or head coach has to develop a rapport and a relationship with the fans. Results is obviously a very good way to do that. But what are your thoughts on that? How do you go about forging a relationship with Sunderland fans?
Well, I think it's being transparent and honest in the way that we're working. I think obviously the way the team plays on the pitch, it's got to be a reflection of the fans and the fans' expectations. And I think it's a relationship that's built over time. I'm not going to say anything right now that's going to win everybody over. I'm aware that I've never worked in this part of the country before as well, and I'm not from this part of the country, but I'll assure the fans that not just only me, that everybody that's involved is doing everything they can to make a winning Sunderland team. And I think in the past few months we've seen pleasing progress on the pitch, and now it's about trying to take that to the next level. And I think over time the quality of my work will be the judgment for the fans on me, for sure.
And I mean, you've been in this situation a few times now. What do you actually do in your first week on the job? How much do you try and change, or how does it go? How does it work?
Well, this is certainly an interesting week. So it's obviously the festive week as well, and there's lots of extra activities in and around the club. There was the Christmas lunch yesterday, and I got to meet the extended staff of from the other departments in the club. At a Christmas function with the club last night. So it's been a whirlwind, meeting the new players, meeting the staff, coming on my own, and the people have been fantastic to me. That was never in doubt anyway, but people are hugely proud of their club and this part of the country. So I'm learning all the time. I've listened a lot to the staff in-house as well about their views, because the interim staff, it's fair to say, I thought did a very impressive job in the short period they were in. So it's listening to both Michael's and Ali in terms of what's been happening within, and just learning how each department works. Within that, we've had 2 training sessions as well. So it's a busy week. I'm really looking forward to the game at the weekend. I think it's a difficult game. I think they're a very good team. Also got to the playoff finals last year. They'll have the same ambition as us, and that's a fantastic way to end my first week here, if you like, with that game at home.
Thank you.
Michael, Andrew from the BBC, welcome to Sunderland. My first question actually is about Rangers. I mean, you said yesterday that you got pulled in different places at your time at the club. So I guess my question is, what went wrong at Rangers, do you think?
Well, small margins. I went in and the team was obviously 9 points behind Celtic at the time I went in there, so that was always going to be difficult to claw that back, and by the end of the season we wasn't able to do that, and we'd lost the cup final, so it was disappointment. There was a lot of change, obviously, because our sporting director left, and Ross Wilson was someone that was hugely influential in me going back, and him leaving, obviously, it changed the goalpost. But look, I want to talk forward, and the biggest message I've got to Rangers fans and everyone there is I spent 5 years there. You know, like, it was wonderful times in both domestic and European football, and I've got nothing but admiration for that club and the fans and everything, what they gave me. And I tried to give them everything back. And in football, sometimes it's fine margins that determine. And so to see the team settled now under Philippe Clement and to win the cup final at the weekend, and within that there was players who I saw sign for Rangers that have now gone on to win the league and both domestic cups. So they completed their set. And within that there was players that had joined us recently that obviously won. And there's no need for me to talk about the politics in the club. I would like to just draw a line under it by saying thank you to the fans for the support they gave me in the time there, and that opportunity was fantastic. I feel that I've arrived in a club that's a gigantic football club, and I feel that already, and I'm really excited about this challenge. And so for my Rangers time, I would say it's the happiest time I had in football, and naturally on the way out it never tastes as nice, does it?
I mean, Tony Mowbray was a very popular figure here. A lot of fans were sad to see him go. Does that put you under extra pressure, perhaps, to hit the ground running when it comes to performances and results?
No, I think whoever's the manager of Sunderland, the fans would expect us to win games of football. So I think that doesn't matter who sits in this seat. I would actually flip that and say that the good work that Tony's done, the foundations he's left me, has left me in a good place, or I've arrived here in a good place. The fact that we've kept the backroom staff in place, I think, is a positive as well. So no, again, Tony, I don't know Tony too well personally. We've met on a couple of occasions, but I remember many years ago, we had a boy, Ryan Kent, go on loan to his Coventry team where he had Maddison and Joe Cole and one or two others and Adam Armstrong. So I've always enjoyed watching Tony's teams play with width and play with lots of freedom, and that's what our fans have obviously here at Sunderland have enjoyed. We're going to continue that and hopefully add one or two extra bits on top as well in terms of my personality being different, but there's no doubt that Tony's a very good manager, and Mark Venus as well alongside him, and I have great respect for both men.
Kristjaan, is Sunderland now in a stronger position to push for promotion than it was a few weeks ago when Tony Mowbray was here?
Well, we believe so. And look, on pitch results will always be the barometer by which people make that judgment. You know, I've always said whenever we spoke about the club, and certainly in terms of the football operations, you know, we see on the pitch on a Saturday a very small portion of what goes on. There's lots of training, development and evolution behind the scenes, and we're going to continue to keep driving that forward, and that was one of the reasons that we chose Michael for the job, is because he can enhance that. So we very much feel we're in a strong position. But ultimately, you know, we have to keep progressing with our on-pitch results, and they're obviously a huge part of obviously what people will think of how well the club's doing.
Thank you very much, both.
Michael, Daniel Wales, Time News TV. We've touched on it slightly already, but what can supporters expect from your style of management and your ways of playing?
I really like the freedom the team's got already. That's how I see football as well. A lot of interchange in the positions in the final third. I think we have to be just as good out of possession. That's fair to say. In this league, we have to be just as good out of possession as we are in it, and we've got lots of interesting types of players. The style of football won't change. There'll just be one or two elements added into it. There's a lot of players here that make me want to get out of bed in the morning and come to work. You know, when you look at a squad of players, you've got to be excited about coming in the building, not only just for the club, but you also, you know, coming to work for such a fantastic club. Of course there's the excitement, but within that squad, who are you coming to work to come in and work? Who's exciting you in the squad? And there's a number of players here. It's a team that's pleasing on the eye at the moment. We want to continue that. It's important we win inside both boxes though. You know, I think there's a statistic that we create, or we have the highest XG in the league, or we did before the Bristol City game. Okay, so that's a really good sign that there's been good coaching, and it's important that we continue that and obviously win inside the boxes, not between them. So I don't think there'll be any radical changes anyone will be able to see, and it's just me adding one or two things to already a team that's in a good place.
I know you've only just arrived here, but what sort of legacy, what sort of impact would you like to have on Sunderland during your time here?
I would like to play part of, not me, part of a collective management of staff, if you like, to help this group of football players fulfil their potential. The utopia would be to do that together and go to the Premier League. That's what we're all aiming for. And I'm sure there's some one or two players within our squad that are liked by teams there and are going to try and come and knock on our door or ring our phones, and we're gonna ignore them in the short term for sure. But no, you get my point. You know, the legacy of the work is how well the team does on the pitch and whether it fulfills its potential. Potential is a big word, isn't it? And so we need to move some of our young players towards fulfilling it. And as a football club, we've got an idea of where we want to go and a plan, and it's important that every day we step towards that.
You said earlier that this was the first role since you left Rangers that had interested you a lot, and so given that, was it an easy decision to say yes when the time came to make that?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. There was no doubt in my mind. Probably after the first meeting, it was a lengthy meeting, and at that time the club obviously were going through their due diligence and everything, and by the time we'd finished with one or two more meetings, it was extensive. It was long into the day, the meetings, which was a good thing. There was a lot to talk about and a lot to share, and yeah, I was delighted, and the energy to just get started was huge.
Kristjaan, one of the perhaps issues on the pitch this season so far has been the forward line, no goals from the strikers so far. If Michael or anyone else in the club thinks it's necessary, will funds be made available in January to bolster that and add new recruits?
Well, we certainly want to convert, you know, some of our dominance into more goals. And I think, you know, if you look at the team that Michael took at Rangers, you know, you're talking about a high possession team, had to break teams down to play the low blocks. So there's a lot of similarities in terms of some of the more recent opponents that Michael's played against. I think he, from a coaching standpoint, can come and sprinkle some different ideas about how we can be more effective there. And certainly from a transfer window perspective, the club's always invested either in the short, but certainly in the medium long term around trying to improve the quality. So we'll continue to approach that, and we've been on with that sort of piece of work since the transfer window closed, and that'll run alongside obviously everything that we've done in the recent weeks.
Thanks.